Alright, go.
How did you get into fighting?
How did I get into fighting? Fighting was never the plan, you know. Rugby was always the plan. But when I moved down to Hamilton, I started because I couldn't make rugby training. The actual story is pretty long, but I got into fighting because I couldn't make rugby trainings because of the work that I was doing. Because I work night shifts, so I needed something else to do. I kind of got thrown into fighting. Really, it wasn't something that I grew up wanting to do. It just was something to do when there was nothing to do in terms of like rugby training and stuff. So yeah, my fighting was something to do, and then I got thrown into it. But yeah, something to do. When was my first fight? My first fight was about 9 years ago, 8 years ago. I can't remember the actual date, but the motivation was from a guy that I met. He's like my brother now, Areta Gilbert. He was probably the guy that motivated me. And when I say motivated, he was after like not even long training. He goes, "Bro, I got a fight for you." So I was like, "Oh, okay." But he got me into fighting. My first 3 fights, I was always wondering, like, what the hell am I doing here? Who the hell said that you could fight? You know. But I guess the training and like being physical was something that I always enjoyed. So the motivation came from that and from the bro Ace. So yeah, that was pretty much my motivation, was going him going, "Bro, I got you a fight. You're fighting at this weight." And I'm like, "Oh shit, alright, sweet, let's do it." How did my fighting name come about? When I started fighting, I think I wasn't called the Flying Fijian from the very start. I used to watch a lot of Remy Bonjowski, and I quite liked it. And being from Fiji, the rugby team as well, the sevens team, they're called the Flying Fijians, and which not many people know. Well, if you don't follow rugby, so I got into the habit of like jumping knees, flying, just doing all this flying shit. And like I think I can't remember who gave me that name. I think it was Ethan, my coach. But yeah, then Flying Fijian stuck because obviously I'm Fijian and I'm flying all the time. So that was the birth of the Flying Fijian. My favorite kind of music for training, I don't really have like a favorite kind that I'm real different because I don't really need hype songs to get me hyped up, right? Like I could train hard to some slow jams. Like I'm like the slow jam king, you know. It's a bit soft, but yeah, just being slow jams, just whatever I'm feeling like at the time. Whoever's like a popping artist that I can relate to, that's what's usually playing in the background. But it doesn't really matter to me what I listen to during thing. If I can sing it and I feel a vibe from it, then that's what's playing. And my walkout songs is pretty much has pretty much been the same since I started. How it's called, House of Pain, Jump Around. The vibes from there, it was mainly like my coaching that picking that song, and it just stuck really, and I loved it because it's a cool song to sort of come out to and get hyped to. But yeah, Jump Around, House of Pain. I've changed it a few times over time, and it's just the songs that I'm kind of vibing to. So yeah, that was it. What's my thoughts on training at City Kickboxing? Bro, it's I'm very grateful and like privileged to be there. You know, you're surrounded by like just world beaters, you know, like you're around greatness all the time, so it's like there's a saying, right, like steel sharpens steel, and like you become what your surroundings are. And I think driving up to city has only made me better. And it's not even the training and stuff, it's just being around these dudes, watching them, like it's crazy, like, you know, with all the UFC boys, the Vake brothers, those guys, like just being around them, you almost feel like you get better just by being there, you know. So yeah, I'm grateful. I think grateful is probably too weak of a word for me, but it is. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be training at City. I'm grateful for Eugene allowing me to train there, and like um just passing on knowledge and stuff that I need. You know, you can never have too much knowledge, and the city styles fits me perfectly too. Like I've been looking up to these dudes for a long time now, and to train with them is a plus for me. What's my favorite art? Jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, or MMA? I think MMA is pretty much is an art in itself, isn't it? Because it's got like a mixture of like boxing. I love stand-up fighting. Like I love stand-up jiu-jitsu and stuff. Wrestling is something that I've kind of grown to love. Wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like the ground game is a whole nother world. You know, like I'm pretty confident on my feet. Like I feel like I'm better than the average dude on my feet. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the ground stuff, I feel like I'm still a fish. You know, I'm new to it, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it at the moment, because like it's non-stop learning. Like it's what is it, like 10 years to get your black belt sort of thing. Like, and I'm patient. So I'm patient and impatient at the same time. Like you show me a move, bro, I'm gonna go spam it until I get it, and like I'll practice on everyone. Like I practice on everyone. Like dudes who are close to me, they know that I'll show them something and I'll try it on them. So um, I think MMA, just being in that, is something that I'm probably made for more than my stand up. Even though I like standing up, I enjoy the challenge of who's the better fighter rather than who's the better kickboxer. You know, so yeah, MMA. That's where I'm at, and that's where I'm gonna shine. The effects of city kickboxing on global sport. I mean, the results speak for itself, right? City kickboxing's like world renowned now, and they just won Gym of the Year. So, my thoughts on that is just like, it just takes me like back to the previous question, where like I'm grateful to be there. I'm grateful to be around these dudes. I'm grateful to be under Eugene. Um, it, City kickboxing is pretty much what I've been kind of saying for a long time. Like New Zealand, we breed the best fighters in the world, and it just so happens that the best fighters in the world are at this one gym, you know, and that's mental. You don't get that. You don't get that. None of these dudes like fly in from anywhere, you know. Like most of these dudes are from New Zealand, bred in New Zealand. Like we're all born somewhere else. Like, you know, a lot of us are born somewhere else, and then New Zealand, we found fighting in New Zealand, and being a city kickboxing is just it's huge, because now the world looks at New Zealand as the powerhouse in fighting, you know, whereas before we traveled everywhere internationally, we were making our name known representing New Zealand, but that was when we went there. Now they're looking at us. Now the world needs to watch out, because there's fighters coming up now that's on a whole nother level, and people are taking notice now. New Zealand city kickboxing's leading the way. Oh, combat sports been 5 years. Well, look, you just look at the growth now with MMA, the UFC, the media machine that is the UFC. Like they're taking this sport to crazy heights. Like the first dude to kind of get people interested in it, I think, was probably George St. Pierre, and then along came the Spider, Anderson Silva, and then and then John Jones, and then now Izzy, and then Connor. These guys have sort of taken the sport and made it mainstream now, and with Izzy now leading the way, the growth and reach is gonna be mental. Like, there's people who never watch fighting in their life. They're like, bro, do you know that dude Israel? You know what I mean? Like, it's like dudes who have no interest in fighting know about these superstars. So moving forward, this sport's gonna be mental. In the next 5 years, that'll be another outlet, And I hope that the media and the world gets behind combat sports athletes, because these guys are individual athletes who represent their country, who represent New Zealand. So I feel like the growth is gonna be crazy, where the number one sport in the world would be combat sports, would be MMA. What I do when I'm not training, I don't know. I like writing. I like hanging out with my family. When I'm not training, I don't know. I just like relaxing. Pretty much, my home is kind of my sanctuary. So anytime I can spend time with the family is something that I quite enjoy, and it's like a break, from the outside world. And I enjoy that, listening to music, writing. I write a lot, just relaxing, really, not having to think about fighting or training, although I think about it way too much, like not way too much, but I think about it all the time, fighting, and I'm constantly watching videos and stuff. But when I'm not training or fighting, I'm usually just hanging with my family. It makes me happy. What do I know about sports now that I wish I knew when I started? I don't know. I suppose the power of social media, really. The power of social media, like right now, it's not just skills that get you the opportunities. It's the ability to sell yourself, the ability to sell tickets, right? Because it's entertainment at the end of the day, and bums on seats, that's what sells, right? So social media, getting a good following on social media, constantly interacting with people who are following you and stuff like that, that's probably something that I've taken on board over the last couple years, really. And I feel like social media, learning how to market yourself, that's probably the most important thing as a fighter, as an athlete, is learning how to market yourself. What can I provide for a company in exchange for them supporting the dream, in terms of money, gears, whatever. Social media is probably my biggest takeaway. Is you have to learn how to market yourself properly, which I'm still sort of getting my head around, which is pretty cool, and it's only gonna get better. What are some of my motivations? I don't know. Probably my family. Understanding that this sport will create a better life for myself and my family. That's pretty motivating in itself. Obviously, the money and things is very attractive too. But I get motivated by seeing how I fare against the best fighters in the world. Like, you thinking like I'm sure I can, I know I can, you know what I mean? Like, so what motivates me is kind of being the best fighter I can be. I'm constantly growing, constantly getting better. Like, at the end of all of this, I should be as good as I will ever get. You know what I mean? But that's 10 years down the track. I'm still learning, I'm still growing. Like, I haven't reached my full potential yet. So the motivation of knowing I'm not the best yet, that's motivating enough. What are some challenges while pursuing a fight career? Probably getting funding. Like, when you're starting out fighting, it's a very unrewarding sport in terms of the amount of time you put into training and the sacrifices you take when you're just coming up without getting paid, and like you're spending a lot of money on yourself. Like, so the most challenging part is probably just finding sponsors, finding people who are willing to sort of put their time and their effort and their money into you, supporting your dream. That's probably the most challenging part of this whole thing, because that takes time in itself, having to find sponsors and stuff like that, because then it takes you away from training, and it's a whole nother mental strain when you're trying to train, trying to get ready for a fight, and having to wonder like, oh, okay, I need, especially if you're not working, like, it's, life's not free, so you're gonna have to find money somewhere. So if you can get sponsors, that's a plus. So that's probably the most challenging thing right now, is getting people to sort of support the dream, because not many people will like to invest on potential. Like, potential is good, but a lot of people have potential and they fall off. So just having those people who genuinely want you to succeed, that's the people that you need on your team. So yeah, sponsorship. Words of advice for somebody wanting to take up combat sports. Probably just do it. Really, there's no secret sauce to it. Like, you either want to do it or you don't, really. And it's a very dangerous game. So unless you're 100% committed into this sport, then do it. Don't go half in, half out, because that's how you get hurt, in this sport. As long as you keep your head, you keep grounded, bro, you keep your circle tight, outside influences can sort of taint your character and the person that you are. So my advice is, stay grounded, stay humbled. It's all good to feel confident. I'm very confident. Like, I love me, you know what I mean? But just know that you're not as good as you think you are, and you're not as bad as they say you are. So just stay grounded, and stay on track, work hard, and whatever you want to do, bro, like, it's all about the time, distance over time equals greatness, sort of thing. So yeah. What's the most rewarding part about being an athlete? It's probably looking back a year from now, a year, like 1 year ago, sort of thing, and seeing your growth. Watching videos, watching fights from a while ago, knowing that you've gotten better, knowing that, and you're watching these dudes who you used to look up to, and then it's rewarding to know that I can be on the same level soon, or I'm already on their level, you know what I mean? Just haven't got the opportunities that they've gotten. So the most rewarding part is knowing that where I started to where I am, I'm 100% better than that, But what's also more rewarding to me is knowing that I'm not the best that I know that I can be, and that's rewarding in itself, knowing that, okay, I'm not that good yet, but I'm getting better, and that's rewarding for me.